one of the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path that the Buddha taught is called samma or right speech. Now, speech was the only direct form of communication in the time of the Buddha. Writing was not so much in use yet. And so the Buddha, when talking about samma vaca, he defined it only in those terms. For example, the four ways of right speech means avoiding lies, lying, deceptive speech, avoiding backbiting and divisive speech, avoiding harsh, unpleasant, rude speech, and avoiding useless chit-chat, chatter and so on, things that don't bring any benefit. These are called the four factors of right speech. But actually there are more ways in which the Buddha defined speech in various contexts. Now, for example, he said there might be different situations or contexts, and according to the context one has to choose the right way of speaking. So there might be situations where, although what I'm saying is true, it corresponds to the facts, it's beneficial, it leads to the goal, and one has the right intention in saying it. But if the person on the other end isn't ready to receive it, then the Buddha will consider the proper time of saying that. Because he said every living being, every human being prefers to hear the things that are agreeable, that are pleasing to them, things they want to hear. And sometimes they may not be ready for hearing a true thing, something which corresponds to reality, to actual fact. So according to the situation, one has to consider carefully, is the person on the receiving end ready for what I'm going to tell them? So according to that, one needs to decide. But in these modern days of advanced communication technology, of course we need to apply the same considerations when communicating with people, using letters, but these days it's more likely to be email and using the internet, using telephone of course, and various other means of getting our message across to other people. And sometimes, because it's much more indirect, we don't actually see the other person on the other end. Sometimes we see them with a delay, or we hear them a bit later. And people often notice that it's more difficult to foresee the effects that what we are going to write or say are going to have on the people on the receiving end. So we need to practice wise reflection and consideration while we are, say, writing an email or recording some message on the telephone, because we don't have that personal face-to-face contact, and we don't get the immediate feedback, say, judging from the features on the person's face or the kind of body language that they respond with when we are talking to them. These are often useful signs to pay attention to when we talk with somebody, but communicating sort of indirectly using modern technology, we don't have these ways of receiving immediate feedback. Sometimes, I mean, the technology is getting better and better, and it almost seems like we are talking to the other person using a computer screen or something like that. So we get a little bit of feedback, but still, with things like writing emails, it's always useful before sending it off to go over it once again and ask ourselves, now what were my motives, what were my intentions in typing this email? Did I really consider it well? How is the person reading this email going to respond to it? Have I had an intention of kindness, metta, or was there some angry feeling or spite and on my side? So if we detect any such unwholesome mental states, then we should reconsider, maybe save the email and not send it yet, wait a few hours or a day, and then we might reconsider it, we can rewrite it. So that would be one piece of advice on this subject of right communication, samma vacha. That means not just right speech, but right communication in a wide sense.